Okay, so can you guys see my screen now?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, so before we proceed to the assignment, okay, so do you guys have a question so far, or concerns or clarifications? Anyone? Okay, so it seems that no one of you has a question, so let's now proceed to the slide 28. So let me just open my Visual Studio. So as I'm saying yesterday, so we will only finish the looping part. So we will not proceed to the input and output, okay, and then the catching error, or is that error handling? Okay, we will not proceed to that one anymore, okay, because we don't have that much meetings left. So I would like you guys to use the remaining two meetings this coming Friday and Saturday, because as far as I know, the start of your final exam is this coming June 15 already, if I'm not mistaken. So it's 15, 16, 17. Or if not, I think it's 16, 17, 18. I'm not really sure, but your final exam is already on this coming uh, next week. Okay. All right. So don't you guys worry, we now only have a few more slides left. So after maybe two parts of meeting, and that's already it. We will not be having a part 3 anymore. All right, so let's answer this assignment right here. Assignment, I think it's this one. Okay, so in this assignment, so write the code for each item that produces table of x and y values for the following. So in here, we're just going to simply display or print the values for x and y's, okay? So for the x, we already have the values, which is 5, okay, to 10. So it's incrementing by 5, so we expect 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and so on and so forth until we reach the maximum value of 10. Okay, and then for the y, okay, so this is where we solve for the value of y. So let's say the value of your x is 5. What is the result of y? If the value of x is 5.5, what is the value of y? Something like that. Okay, so we will display that one using a looping statement. All right, so let me just delete this one. So in here, we're going to display them, okay, inside of a data grid view. Well, you can also display them using a list box, but in my case, I will display them inside a data grid view, okay? So I just declared two variables, okay? So the x and y, and then we have this function clear so that we can clear the items inside of the data grid view. So every time that you will click this button, it will clear first before it will display the items inside. Okay, so we don't want the values to be overlapping with the next values. All right, so again for this one, when we say columns, data grid view dot columns, it is the title. Okay, so we have here the header or the title, the x and y, and then the first parameter is the values below it. Okay, so of course the title is x, so we need the values of x. Okay, wherein it will be coming from this x right here. So we have to change this one since the initial value is 5 and then the ending value is 10. And this one is correct since it is incrementing by 0.5. Okay, and this is the only thing that we need to put. Okay, which is coming from here, the formula of y. So it's 3 times x raised to 5. So let's put that one for now. 3 times x raised to 5 minus 3 times x raised to 3. Okay, and then plus x. All right, and then for this one data grid view that rows, so this is where we are displaying, okay, the values each row. So the first one is of course x, which will be displayed on the first column, and then the second row is y. I mean second column is y, which will be displayed on the second column. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this example letter A, or number one. Example number one, or assignment number one. Okay, so for the components, so I just have two components, the button and then the data grid view. So let's test this program. Okay, so just wait a second. All right, so if I click compute, it will display here the values of x, which is from 5 to 10, and then their values, respective values. If we have the value 5 using this formula, okay, we'll get 9,005. If we have 5.5, we'll get 14,604.91, and so on and so forth, okay, up to 10. All right, so yeah, that's how we answer this assignment right here. And then for the number 2, so all we need to do is change the starting point, which is now 1 and then 3, and then change the formula, okay, which is 1 plus x squared divided by 2, and so on and so forth. So let's try to answer number 2. So this one is ranging from 1 to 3. So starting from 1 and then ending on 3. And then the formula is 1 plus x, 1 plus x plus x squared divided by, so let me copy this one, plus x cubed divided by 6. So x cubed divided by 6 plus x raised to 4 divided by 24. So 4 and then 24. Okay, and then the rest are the same. Okay, for the incrementation, so it's still 0.5, so we don't need to change this one anymore. So let's test this program. So for you to be able to verify the values of y, so you can use your calculator, of course. Okay, so if we have, let's say 1, is this correct? If we have 1.5, is this correct? And so on and so forth. Okay, so you can try the experiment wherein you can, of course, uh, let's see, increase the ceiling up to 10, not just 1 to 3 or 1 to 20 or 1 to 50. So that's completely depend on you. Okay, if you want to display up to that count of numbers. So did you guys get the idea so far for this assignment, number 1 and number 2? What about the others? Okay. All right. So great. So I will not answer number 3 anymore since this one is super simple. Okay. So all you need to do is change the formula into this one, and then change the starting number from 4, and then the ending number is 10. And then it's incrementing by 0.2. Okay. So yeah, that's it for this assignment. Let's now proceed to the next one. So in here we have exit do, we have exit while, and then we have exit for. So before we don't have this one, but in here it's like we have another condition. Okay, so in here we have this condition wherein we already know that the minimum value or the starting point is 1, and then it will end at exactly 10. But since we have this condition right here wherein if x is already equal to 5, it will already end the loop, or it will force close the loop. Okay, so meaning this will override this condition right here. Okay, because this condition were met, so we have to execute this exit do right here. So this one is for do while loop. Okay, so that is exit do. But for the exit while, okay, or the while and while, okay, we're going to use exit while. So we still have the same, just a different syntax, okay? So in here we have exit 2, but in here we have exit while. So depending on the structure, that you are using. Okay, and then we also have exit for, which is for the for next structure. So again, instead of this one is going to loop 10 times, this will now only loop 5 times, okay, because it will force close at exactly 5. All right, so all of those three are just the same. They have the same functionalities. It's just that they have their own syntax depending on the looping structure. Okay, so are we clear so far regarding with this additional function? Hello, 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 guys. You guys still around? Did you guys get this one? On what is this exit to do in this code right here? All right. Okay. So maybe you're wondering why we only have three. We only have exit do, exit wall, and then exit for, but we have a total of six looping structure. So that's because they don't have those kind of uh, exit statement or exit function. So if you want to force close something, then you can use for next structure. You can use while and while structure, and then do while loop structure. Okay. And then we have here another assignment wherein write a program that outputs the sum of the following using while looping statements. So let's do this one. Let me just get the created sample of this one. All right. So let me remove that one. And then in here we have write a program that outputs the sum of the following using while looping statements, wherein we have a summation from 1 to 100. Okay, so if we're going to search that one on the internet, uh, what is the summation of 1 to 100? So this will give us a result of 5050. So we should have the same output if we're going to do that one on the Visual Basic. So for us to be able to do that one, we have to declare two variables, the sum and then the counter. The counter is your a number, of course, that will count from 1 to 100. Okay, that is why it's being initialized right here. Where of course, initially, you will start with 1 and then you will end at 100. Okay, and then for the sum, this is where we are going to store the values and every time that it's incrementing. So of course, initially the value per sum is 1. Okay, because that is the initial value, okay, which is the counter. And oops, right here we have to add the counter value. All right, so initially our value of counter is 1, so it will be placed in here, and then in here we now have a value of 1, so this one will increment by 1, so the counter now is 2, so 2 plus 1 is now a total of 3. Okay, so every time that we will increment, it will be added onto our last or the previous value. Okay, so with that, we'll be able to get the summation from 1 to 100. All right, and then whatever is the final result, okay, after this loop right here from 1 to 100, it will be displayed inside of a message box. Okay, so in here, this is already correct. So let's see if we have the same result. So we should, yeah. So we have a result of 5050, okay, which is the summation from 1 to 100. Okay, so that's the answer for the letter A. What about letter B? So still we have a range of number from 1 to 100, but in here now, I is divisible by 2. Okay, meaning we will start with 2, 4, 6, and then so on and so forth. So it's like basically we have even numbers only, ranging from 1 to 100. And then if you're going to search that one on the internet, we will get 2,550, I guess, if I'm not, uh, if I'm correct, okay? If I'm not mistaken. So let's see. So in here, we can actually do some tricks. So for us to be able to display even numbers only, so we will start with 2, but still the ceiling number is 100, so that's the maximum. Okay, and then instead of incrementing by 1, we'll increment that 1 by 2, so that we can only have uh, even numbers. Okay, that is keep on counting or keep on incrementing. So let's see what is the result of this one. So in here we have, yeah, 2,550. So just search this one on the internet, or just solve this one using a certain formula. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that this was already discussed by your teachers before, on how to get the summation of a certain uh, number. So yeah, that's it for the number 2. Can you guys follow so far for the letter A and letter B? Okay, great. What about the others? Do you guys have a question so far? All right. Okay, so if you guys don't have questions, so let's now proceed to letter C and D. So for the letter C, we have another formula right here wherein the number will be squared, okay, every time that it will increment. So initially is 1, so it's 1 squared, followed by 2 squared, 3 squared, until you reach the value of 10 squared. Okay, so let's do that one. So initial value is 1, ending value is 10, and the counter is still incrementing by 1. So in here, this one was being squared. So let's see what is the result. So we will get a value of 385. So that's the summation from 1 squared up to 10 squared. All right. And then for the last one, we have here 1 over 2i. Okay, so we're getting the summation of 1 half, 1 fourth, 1 sixth, and so on and so forth. So in here, all we need to do is put the counter, okay, 1 half, and then multiply this one by 2. And in here, we have a range of 1 to 5. So 1 to 5, and it's incrementing by 1, still by 1. All right, so let's see what is the result. So one more thing, you have to declare this one as a single, okay, not integer, because if you will declare that one as an integer, then you will not be able to display if it has a decimal point. So in here, we have declared this one as single so that we can see what is the decimal point. So in here, we're having a result of 7. Is this correct? 7.5? Isn't it that we should be getting 1 half plus 1 fourth? Yeah, I think it's correct. One. It's like it's not correct. Let me just check. 1 half plus 1 fourth plus 1 sixth plus 1 eighth plus 1 over 10. This one is incorrect. The correct answer is 1.14. Okay, let me just check what happened right here. I see. So as you guys can see, this one right here, we have 1 half, but this one is being multiplied on the numerator. So what we want is this counter should be at the denominator. Okay, so let's revise this one into something like this. There you go. So that we can have a numerator times numerator and then denominator times denominator. So yeah, there you go. So this is the correct answer, 1.141667. All right. So were you guys able to follow for this assignment right here? Okay. All right, so great. So again, if ever that you have a question, so feel free to ask me anytime, okay? All right, so let's now proceed to exercise number 9. So in here, we're being asked to make a program that computes the distance a body falls in feet per second for the first 5 seconds of the free fall as given by the equation. Okay, so for the distance, we have this formula, 1 half times acceleration times time squared. So this distance right here is in feet, okay? And we have here the expected output, wherein if we're going to do that one manually, we have 1 to 5 right here for the first 5 seconds. And then we have here the equivalent distance traveled after 1 second, after 2 seconds, after 3 seconds, and so on and so forth. All right. And then here's the code for this one. So again, I just declared two variable, okay, because those are the only outputs that we need. We have the time, which is the first column, and then we have the dist or distance for the second column, and then we have we always have this function. This will never be begun, okay? So we must always have a that clear function for us to be able to clear the items inside of the data grid view before it will display the values or variables. All right, and then we have here the titles. So as usual, if we say columns, okay, those are the titles. We have time in seconds, and then we have distance in feet, okay, and then the values below them, okay. So here's the values for time. So it's ranging from 1 to 5 right here. And then we have the formula for distance, which is 1 half times 32 times time raised to 2. So this 32 right here is a default value of acceleration. So you can recall that one if you have already finished your physics, or you can just simply search that one on the internet for you to be able to check if it's really 32 or not. Okay. And then in here, we are now displaying the values row by row. Okay, so that is why we are declaring here that rows that add. Okay, so for the first column and then the second column. And then we are formatting the result of the distance right here. So that is why we are having a fixed value of 2 decimals. And even though it doesn't really have a decimal, it is showing a 0.00. Okay, that's the function of this fixed value right here for the letter F. All right, and then of course it's incrementing by 1, okay, so that we can see all of the values from 1 to 5. So for this one, exercise number 9, let me just show to you guys the result. So I have the same code, I just copied whatever we have in here, and then I have the same components, a button and then a data grid view. So let's test this program. So calculate. So in my case, I have a time from 1 to 10, not 1 to 5. And then of course, this is the corresponding distance traveled. So 9 is already 1,296 feet. And then 10 is 1,600. All right. So that's it for this example or exercise number 9. So is this clear so far? So if you're not getting it, like what's happening with this code right here? So you might want to try this one on your own. So just try to copy this one and then paste it on your Visual Studio, make it work, and then try to make some changes. Just for you to be able to appreciate what are things that you can do and you cannot do in here. Okay, as long as you're following the correct syntax, and I think you're good to go. Okay, you can expand this more if you wanted. Okay, you can add another columns, you can add more formulas, more computations, and so on and so forth. But anyway, yeah, that's it for the exercise number 9. And then we have here exercise number 10, which is much more complicated than the previous example. So the x and y coordinates as function of time p of a projectile fired with an initial velocity v at an angle theta with respect to the ground is given by. this formula right here. So for the distance traveled, we have velocity times time times cosine times theta. And then for the height, okay, which is y, so it's equal to velocity times time times sine times theta minus 1 half gt squared, or gravity times time squared. So using these formulas, write code that allows the user to input for the initial velocity, let's say 350 meter per second, at an angle, say 25 degrees. So we have here an initial values, let's say, just for saying that we have this result right here, but you can put any acceleration or velocity that you want, okay? And then you can also put any degrees that you want, okay, for the angle. So display a table of x, which is the distance traveled, and y, which is the height values for a projectile fired at a time interval 0 to the total time of light. Okay, that is t is equal to 2 times voltage, 2 times velocity times sine theta divided by gravity. Okay, seconds with increment of 1/2 second. So hint, remember to convert to radian measure. So uh, in here, we have the sample output. Okay, we have the initial input, initial angle, and then we have here the computed time of flight. Okay, and then the expected output. So for us to be able to come up with this one, so all you need to do is analyze this solution right here. So we have declared a total of 7 variables. Okay, so for these 6 variables, so we have declared that one as single, because so if it's single, then it can maybe, okay, there's a possibility that it will display a decimal. And then for the letter G, this one is actually a fixed value, which is gravity is equal to 9.81. So that's the gravity here on Earth. So if you're doubting the value of this one, so feel free to search this one on the internet. So G is equal to 9.81. And then we have these two inputs right here, wherein the text box 1 is the velocity, and then the angle is coming from text box 2. All right, and then again, we have this clear function right here, and then we have the titles, and then their corresponding values, and then the formula for t flight. So where this one came from? It came from the instruction itself. So t flight, or t, is equal to 2 times velocity times sine theta divided by g, which is now this one, 2 times velocity times mat that sine radians angle divided by g. So if you guys are going to take a look at this one, so it says radians. So we must multiply this angle right here to mat that pi divided by 180. Okay, so that's the way for us to be able to obtain a radian uh, value, okay, of an angle. And then we have here the text box 3, the text wherein it's displaying whatever is the result in here. It will be displayed on our text box 3, the text, okay, ETF flight. Then again, we have a format right here. So again, if you're still not familiar with the format, so just go back with our module 7. So just look for the table about formats. You will see there the fixed format, N1, N2, 0.00, 0.000, format for dates, format for a peso sign, dollar sign, and so on and so forth. Okay, so N2 meaning we are only getting 2 decimals. Okay, just like what we have in here. Okay, and then the same for the flight. And then we have the continuation of the solution. So we now have here the looping. Okay, so initially we'll start with 0, and then we'll now compare that one if it's already lesser or equal to the t flight. So in here, if it's not equal with the t flight value, it will never stop looping. But once it is equal to the t flight value or less than, then that's the time that it will stop looping. So we have here the formula for the distance. So again, it came from the instruction itself. This one right here. It's cosine theta. And for the height, we have sine. Okay, mat that sine right here. So for the radian, again, we have to multiply that one into mat that pi divided by 180. Okay, and then we in here we have here the values for every row. So the first one is the time followed by the distance, and then followed by the format followed by the height. Okay, and then we have formatted for the result of this one, so we're getting fixed value, okay, or the two decimals only. And then for the time, it's incrementing by zero point 0.5. Okay, so where this one came from, it came from the instruction itself. So 1/2 second. Okay, and we have here additional. Okay, so in here this will display the final value or the final row. Okay, because if we only have this loop, okay, this will never show the zero. Okay, zero height of the row. So that's the reason why we have like additional, okay, competition right here, which is outside the looping. Okay, so this will compute for the final row. So you will see later on what is this for. But anyway, for this one, let me just open why new project. Should be open project, and this is number 10. Number 10. All right, so whatever we have in there is the same with what I have in here. So for the radian, again, we just have to multiply the angle into mat.pi divided by 180. Okay, and then the rest are the same. Okay, except for the naming of data grid view. So just change that one into whatever is the name of your data grid view right here. And then for the interface, of course, I've just copied whatever is in there. So we have two labels, I mean three labels, I mean four labels. Okay, one, two, three, four, and then three text box, and then one button, and then a data grid view. So let me show to you guys the result. So let's say 350 and then 25. So we have the same result. So time of flight is a total of 30.17. So it is the final value of this one, okay, for the time of flight. Okay, so it will only stop if it's already equal, okay, with this one right here, 30.16655. And then for the final row, okay, where is that one right here? Okay, for the final row, so it's being computed by this one, okay. So if we don't have that additional competition right here, we will not be able to see this 0.00 right here. All right, so that is the reason why we have this one outside the loop. Okay, because if it's not, then it will only reach up to 30, which is 24.50. And then if you want to get the peak value, so it's at the mostly it's at the middle, which is 15. Okay, so we have 1115 is this meters or feet or whatever's the unit. So this is the peak that it reached, and then the distance, total distance traveled is 9,569.06. Okay, and then the time of flight is 30.17. So yeah, that's it for this example. So are you guys able to follow so far? So it's okay if you didn't get this one. So I know that this one is quite complicated, but if you want to understand this one, so your only choice is to do this one on your own. So you have to redo this one using your own Visual Studio and then play with it. Try to change the maybe the name of your variables. Try to change this one into entry for you to be able to get the three decimals, and then try to change maybe the formula of the distance, formula of height, and so on and so forth. So whatever you can do, just play with it. Okay, with that you'll be able to learn more on how this code right here work. All right, so that's it for now for the part one. So we don't have enough time anymore, so we'll just continue the rest on the part two. So goodbye for now and see you guys later. continue now. Oh. All right, so for the next one, we have the exercise number 11. So given different values, assume all are integers listed in the list box. Determine the sum of all the values. So in here, we're just simply displaying the things that we can do inside of a list box. So if this one happened, let's say we have let's say an array or a numbers, okay, inside of the list box, we can actually get the summation of that one. So we can do that one by fetching the row by row. So we have this function right here for us to be able to get the items. Okay, we have the items that count. So with that, we'll be able to fetch the values. Okay, inside of it, row by row. So in here, we just declared two variable, the total and then the counter. So the counter is for the starting point and then the ending point of this one, and then the total is this is where we put the summated value of whatever is the summated value of this one. So it's being displayed on this text box right here. Okay. So yeah. So let me just show this one to you guys real quick. So for this one, we have, let's see, I have these values right here. So if I click start and then hit compute, it will give me a result of 1979. So of course you can remove one or you can add more. Okay, by going to the properties of this one and then go to items and then collection, and then let's say you wanted to add 50,000. Okay, and then see negative 20,000. So just hit OK and then hit start and then okay, wait a second, then hit compute and then it will give you the submitted value of this one, 31,979. So again, whatever we have in this code right here, I just copy this one so you can try to add more if you want. You can experiment, you can try to modify. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the exercise number 11. And then for these exercises right here, so this is where you guys should focus, because most, not actually most, maybe 15 items, only 10 to 15 items, we have this kind of questions in your final exam. Okay, so in here, tell how many times does each of the following loops iterate and what is the final value of the variable x in each case. Okay, so we have two answers per number. So we have to find how many times your x or this code right here will iterate, and then what is the final value, okay, of your x. So let's use a notepad. So anyone in the class, how many times do you guys think this number one will loop? Anyone? How many times this number one will loop, or how many times will it iterate? So coming from Miss Eunice, so she said that it's 7. What about the others? What are your guess? 7. We have an initial value of 5 and then ending point of 30, and it's only incrementing by 1. 6. What about the others? Miss Kezal, Miss Bato, or Mr. Miss Pertible? Are you there? Okay, John. 5. What about you, Miss Renan? What is your answer or guess with your number one? Walang tama sa inyo. Naku, paano na yan? Wala kayong makukuha dito. There you go. So the correct answer is 26. So coming from Miss Eunice. So why 26? So again, we've started with 5 and then it's incrementing by 1. So the next one is of course 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So of course you have to check if the condition were true since we're using while. So 10 is still lesser than 30, so it will still loop until it reached the value of 30. Okay, or 31 actually. Okay, once it reached the value of 31, the statement now is false, so it will now stop looping in there. So if you're going to count that one starting from 5 to 30, so it will give you a value of 26. So why 26? Because we started with 5. So it's like 30 minus 5 plus 1. All right? So 30 minus 5 plus 1. So 30 minus 5 is 25. So it will be plus 1 since we started with the initial value, okay, or initial number. So this will loop 26 times, and then the final value, okay, of our x is 30. Okay, so I hope you guys can answer now the number 2 correctly. Oops. So what about number 2? Ganun, nagloloko na talaga yung mouse ko. I think I need to buy a new one. So initial value is 10 and final value is 50, but it's incrementing by 5. So how many times this will loop? Tatlo. Layo naman ng 3. 45, ang dami naman ng 45 na yan. Okay, so 8 is incorrect. What about the others? Try to recheck. Kaya gumagamit ako notepad kasi it's really quite confusing, especially if it's not incrementing by 1 anymore. What about you, Miss Eunice? What is your answer regarding with this one? So coming from Mr. Joshua is 10. So 10 is incorrect. Huh? Ang layo yata ng 19. Okay, so let's do this one. All of us. So initially the value is 10, so it's incrementing by 5. So the next value is 15, 20, 25, 30, and then of course you have to check. So 30 is still less than 50. So if it's true, then you can still proceed. 35, 40, 45, and then 50. So can we proceed to 55? So 55 is already not less than or equal to 50. So it's already false. Okay, so we will not include 50 anymore. So we will stop at exactly 50. So from here, you can now count how many times this one loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. Okay, so this will loop 9 times, and the final value is 50. All right. So I hope that one is clear. Bumibitaw-bitaw. Look. Okay. So the correct answer is 9 times, and then the final value is 50. What about number 3? So we now have a post test right here, and then we are now using until. Okay, so what do we say again? If it's until, it will only loop if we have a false statement, and then it will stop if we have a true. Why false statement? If we have a false condition, okay, and then it will only stop if we already have a true condition. Okay. Anyone? What is your answer with number 3? Nalilito ka. All right, that's okay. Okay, you can always go back, at the first 10 slides to explain there what is the functionality of do while, do loop while, okay, do loop until, do until. So we have 6 kinds of structures. Okay, so just go back there and then you will know how that looping structure works. So, kailangan alam mo talaga kung ano ba, dapat true ba yung condition, false ba yung condition bago siya mag-execute, magpro-proceed ba siya o hindi. Alright, so for this one, our initial value is 60. So, check. 60 is equal to 40. So, 60 is equal to 40, so false. So, it will loop, okay, at a value of 60. And it's decrementing by 10. Okay, so the next value is 50. So, is 50 equal to 40? So it is still false, right? So that is why it will still loop at a value of 50. But what about 40? 40 is equal to 40. It's already a true condition. Will it loop or no?
No, sir.
Okay, so if it's no, then you don't need to include that one anymore. So you will stop at 50. So it will loop 2 times. Itong mouse na to. Hala, highlight. It will loop 2 times and then the final value is 50. Alright? So let's just recall again. If we have while, so for this to be able to execute or loop, you must have a true condition. So hanggat true yung condition mo, maglo-loop pa rin siya. And then mag-i-stop lang siya kapag false condition na. And then for the until, okay, so it will only loop if we have a false condition. Okay, so kabaliktaran lang siya ng while. And then it will stop looping if we have already a true condition. Okay, so ganun lang siya. Right? Lolo ko talaga tong mouse ko. Right, anyway. How about number 4? How many times it will loop? 2. What about the others? 3. 2 is incorrect. 3 is incorrect. 1 is incorrect also. Okay, so again, check the condition. So we have until. So our initial value is 100, right? So 100 is greater than 70. So at the very first, we already have a true condition. Wherein, again, if we have the structure until, it will only execute if we have a false condition. But in here, we have already, at the very first of the looping, we already have a true condition. So this will never loop. Okay? And then for the final value, it's unknown since it never loop. We don't know the value. Alright? So, dun pa lang, wala na siya. Okay? Hindi na siya nag-loop. Anyway, so I hope medyo nakukuha nyo na. We have more examples right here. What about number 5? Anyone? Starting at 15, ending at 45, incrementing by 5. and then it will stop once the x is already higher or equal to 30. Forget that. Okay, so we'll see. 4, 6. What about the others? What are your guesses? 6 also. Okay, let's see. Okay, starting at 15 and it's incrementing by 5. Okay, so we'll get 20. So check. Is 15 less than or equal to 45? So yes, so it will still loop since we have a while structure right here. So for while, it will only loop if we have a true condition. So 20, 25, so 25 is still less than 45. But in here, we now have reached 30, wherein it says here that once we've reached 30 or 30 is already, or x is already equal to 30, then it will exit the looping. So in here, 30 is not included anymore because that's the point where it will force close the looping or it will stop looping. So in here, we only have uh, 3 times of loop, and then the final value is 25. Okay, so 7 is incorrect. So this will loop 3 times, and then the final value is 25. All right, so hindi pa rin yata clear. Well, anyway, that's okay. Just do a lot of practice. Just visit a lot of other websites which has a lot of activity when it comes to looping structures. So what about number 6? How many times number 6 will loop? 5? Okay, so maybe you're right. Okay, so maybe you're right if you are only looking at this condition. But then again, check. We have here a condition wherein if x is greater than 75, wherein our initial value is 100. So 100 is already greater than 75. Okay, so basically at the very first of the loop, it will already stop looping. So this will never loop, and then the value is again unknown. Okay, so it's like when we have this exit do right here or exit while, this will override the condition right here. Okay, so if this is already true, then it will close right away, or it will exit looping right away. Okay, so I hope you guys get the number 6. So what about number 7? So what are your answers? Mr. Dad, Miss De Vera, hello, dyan pa ba kayo? Okay, 5 coming from Miss Patricia, 2 coming from Miss Atangin. What about the others? Wala pang tumatama. 1, 7, wala pang tumatama. Okay, so if you guys are going to take a look on this one, so until, right? So kapag until, dapat false yung condition. So 75 is less than or equal to 10. So yes, it's false. Okay, so it will loop. Okay, you can count that one as your first loop. Okay, and then it's incrementing by 10. Okay, so the next one is 85. Okay, so 85 is still false with this one, so that you can count that one's another part of your loop. Okay, but maybe you will realize that it will never stop looping. Okay, because it will really never make this statement true. Oops. Okay, it will never make this statement true. So 85, 95, 105, 115, and so on and so forth. So that is why the answer for the number 7 is infinite. Okay, and then for the final values, of course we don't know. Let's just say infinite because it will never stop looping. Okay, so there's a possibility that it will never loop, and there's also a possibility that we have an infinite loop. All right, so did you guys get that one? All right. Okay, so konti pa. Maintindihan nyo na to. What about number 8? How many times that one will loop? Hello? Hello? Mga answer na ba kayo? Finally! So the answer of Mr. Dan is correct. So this will never loop. Okay, that's because initially, 100 is already greater than 70. And then again, if we have until, this will only loop if we have a false condition. So at the very first, it's already a true condition, so it will never loop. And the value or the final value is none. All right, so very good, Mr. Dan. I hope the others get this one also. Okay. So for the number 9, we're now going to use the for next structure. So how many times the number 9 will loop? Okay. So yeah, that's correct. So it will loop 11 times. So if you're going to list that one from 0 to 10, so the total times that it will loop is 11. And then if, you know, uh, as you can see, we don't have a step value right here. So if the step value is not indicated, by default, it will increment by 1. All right, so that is why it's incrementing by 1. So that's why we have 11 uh, total of loopings. And then the final value is 10. What about number 10? That's correct. So 6 is correct. So 0, 0, oops, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. So just count that one. We have a total of 6 loopings. All right. 6, and then the final value is 10. Okay. Yes. Correct answer is 6, Miss Eunice. So I hope the others can follow. Can you guys follow so far? Miss Rene Ann, Miss Gazel, and Miss Pertible. Okay. Okay, very good. Miss Patricia, Miss Pertible, and Miss Atangan. So wala yata si Miss Rene Ann. Anyway, how about number 11? Okay. So yeah, just review this one, Miss Rene Ann. So the correct answer is 11. So that is correct. And then the final value is, of course, 0. All right. So just recheck this one. This will group 11 times, and then the final value is 0. Okay, it's decrementing by 2. What about number 12? Okay, very good. So yun, nakuha nyo na. Finally, at the very last item. So this will loop 5 times, and then the final value is what? Dapat ganito na exam. Meron naman mga 15 items yata. Or 10 to 15 items. Okay, the final value is 12. So yeah, that's it for the module 9. So again, we will not discuss the following topics anymore since we don't have that much time left. So the coverage of your final exam is module 7, module 8, and then module 9. So for the module 9, up to whatever we have just covered, okay? Up to this point only. Slide 42, okay? So entire module 7, entire module 8, and then module 9 just partial, 1 to 42 only. So yeah, that's it for our class for this COMPFP. This is already our last meeting. So I would like you guys to use our remaining meetings for you to be able to finish the activities or quizzes which I gave to you. All right. So do you guys have a question so far or clarification? This is now your final chance to ask this one via a live Zoom meeting. Laging walang nagtatanong sa inyo kapag Zoom meeting. Mas mabilis nga dito kasi madedemo ko kagad, masasabi ko kagad. Maraming katanungan kapag puro sa inbox na. So ang kadalasan nun, saka lang makapagre-reply after 5 hours, 10 hours after 1 day. And then, ayun, ang hirap pang ipaliwanag kasi nagta-type ka tapos paano ko papakita yung image, mag-attach pa ako ng picture. So, mas mabilis dito kasi, shit, nakikita nyo na kagad yung screen ko eh. Step by step pa. So, mas madali. Well, anyway, so, wala talaga kayong question? Well, kung wala, then congrats, maybe naintindihan mo naman lahat or natapos mo na siguro yung mga activities. Oh, yes, Miss Ranian. Ano yun? Okay, baka nagtatype. What about the others? Do you guys have a question? So if you don't have a question anymore, so you may now go, okay? And then if ever that you have the questions, just again, feel free to message me anytime, okay? Goodbye, and again, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, and thank you too. Error. This template attempted to load component assembly. Mm-mm. Hmm. Bakit nasa C Sharp ka? Just use Visual Basic. Can you share your screen right now? Okay. Goodbye, Miss Castle. Can you share your screen right now, Miss Ranian? Kasi dapat hindi C Sharp. Mag-umpisa ka dapat Windows, Windows. Sir, sa last quiz, nag-plus 2 lang ako para makuha odd numbers. Okay lang po ba? Yeah. What important is you're showing me the correct output. Okay? So, marami tayong ways. Pwede nyo dayain. Actually, ganun nga lang ginagawa eh. Daya-daya lang yan sa mga codes. Okay? Hindi mo kailangan ng napakagandang algorithms. Basta tama yung lumalabas na result. Okay? So, let me just share my screen, Ms. Renian. Alright, so if you're going to create a project, I hope we have the same version. Could be 2019 or 2015. So I think medyo the same lang naman. So it should be Windows Forms app.NET Framework, and then take note it should be Visual Basic. Okay, so parehas lang din naman yon. Meron siyang desktop, meron ding Windows, but in here we have a different language. So the one that you're using is I guess C or C++, but in here it should be Visual Basic. Okay, so dapat ito yung gagamitin mo. Kasi dito we have four actually five pa nga eh. So the project name, okay, and then the solution wherein you will not touch this one anymore. And then the location which you also have. And yeah, and then the framework. Okay, you don't also need to touch this one. So all you need to touch is the project name and then the location. Okay, so try again, Mr. Ranian. Baka iba kasi yun. Okay, sige, sige. Alright, so you're welcome. So any other concerns? So we still have 2 minutes and 50 seconds. How about you, Miss Eunice?
None, sir. Bye, sir.
Alright, so goodbye, and again, thank you guys for coming. Goodbye.